Good morning, everyone. I am Rachna Narayan, and the topic which we are discussing today is Israel at state of war. So, why this topic is in news? What has happened in the last few days that we need to understand. So, why is this in news? Palestine's military group known as Hamas initiated Operation Al-Aqsa flood on the land of Israel on 7th October 2023. They attacked Israel from two ways. They initiated 5,000 missiles on the land of Israel, as well as they also infiltrated the land through the land army. So now we need to understand who are these Hamas and why are they attacking on the land of Israel. Hamas is officially the Islamic resistance movement, and currently it is the Islamist political and military organization which holds the Gaza Strip administration. The whole administration of Gaza Strip currently has been operating under Hamas, which has about 1.2 million people. Now, we move forward to understand what is so special about 7th October that Hamas has chosen to put forward this attack. 7th October holds two important dates and is very important for the history as well. First one is that 7th October launched the last day of the holy Jewish festival known as Samchat Torah. On this day, it was the last day which was about to end with a music festival in the desert area near Gaza Strip. And the second one is that it was to commemorate the Yom Kippur War. Now, what is this Yom Kippur War? In 1975, Arab nations combined together and launched a surprise attack on the land of Israel, which killed numerous Israeli people. Although in this war, Israel came as victorious, but had to lose a lot of people. So, that's why Hamas have chosen this day so that they could commemorate this 50 years of Yom Kippur War. Now, what is happening now after this attack? What all is happening and what has led to this attack? Why is Hamas so agitated over Israel that they did such an attack on the land of Israel? For this, we need to look at this picture and understand the root cause of the situation there. On the land of Israel, there is a small place known as Jerusalem. This place, Jerusalem, is the root cause of the whole conflict. This whole conflict is not just regional, it is religious as well. When we look at this map, this whole area is just a land of 35 acres. There, this is the Mosque of Al-Aqsa. This is the Dome of Rock. This is the Dome of Rock, and this place is the Western Wall. So, the Al-Aqsa Mosque is the religious place for the Islamic population. This place, Dome of Rock, is the prayer hall for the Islamic people, and this boundary, which is the western wall of the Al-Aqsa Mosque, is the religious place and the holiest place for the Jewish population. The Jewish people put small strip of papers with their wishes on this wall. This is also known as the wishing wall in the Jewish religion. Both these religions want to get hold of this area. Currently, the Jerusalem area is under the control of United Nations. The second reason for this conflict is in 2021, Israel did a surprise attack on this dome of rock, which is the prayer hall for the Islamic people. So it was a Friday, and on this day, Israel attacked this area, which led to the killing of hundreds of people, of Palestinian people. And the third agitation point is the normalization deal with Saudi Arabia. Israel have signed and is planning to move forward with the normalization deal with Saudi Arabia to make things better with the member of Arab leagues. And this whole situation is agitating Hamas. Now, why this normalization deal between Israel and Saudi Arabia will agitate Hamas? For this, because Hamas is an Islamic group and it gets maximum funding from the Arabic nation. So, if in future Arab nations are in good and have a cordial relationship with Israel, this funding will stop, leading to the weakening of power of Hamas. Now, what is happening now? This whole conflict and this whole attack by Hamas on Israel have agitated Israel as well. Now, what has Israel done? In retaliation, Israel have declared an state of war situation. Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, had declared that we are in a state of war and have launched an operation known as Iron Sword Operation on the next day. Since then, about 1,537 Palestinian people have been killed by the Israelis' attack on the Gaza Strip. And it has also done a complete seize. Israel have completely cut off the food, electricity, fuel and water in the area of Gaza Strip. And this had led to the killing of and also the injured people number have been rising daily. Till now we know that this land of Palestine and Israel now is in a conflict-like situation, is in a war-like situation. So to understand this, we need to go back to a history to get a better grasp of this situation. So to understand the history, we need to look at this map. So when we look at this map, we will see that till 1947, there was no such country named as Israel. This whole land was known as Palestine. After 1947, after the end of World War II, what happened? That the people of Jews were settled in here as a refugee with the help of United States and England. Now, here comes another issue. Why only this land was chosen for the people, for the Jewish people to settle in? This situation have a religious base to it. According to the New Testament, this whole situation have a religious base to it. According to the New Testament, that is the holy book of the Jewish people, this Mediterranean land, this land which is bordered by the Mediterranean Sea, is to be the land of the Jewish people and was finally accepted, and the people of Jewish religion was settled in this area. Here the conflict emerged because now the conflict became a religious conflict. Two different religious people started demanding the right over the whole land. One side was the Jewish population and the other side was the Islamic population. Here United Nations intervened and gave a twin sister theory. United Nations gave a twin sister theory and divided the land between Palestine and Israel and gave equitable distribution of the land. But the conflict and the agitation continued. In 1967, a war emerged between Mossad and Palestine Liberation Organization. Mossad is the intelligence group of Israel, and Palestine Liberation Organization is the authority which controls the Palestinian land. This war went on for 6 days, and Israel again became victorious. And this changed the whole map of the area. Now, the Palestinian people were limited to just 2 places. One was the Gaza Strip and the other was the Western Bank. So, this one is the Gaza Strip and this area is the Western Bank. The Western Bank was controlled by the PLOs, and the Gaza Strip, here a militant group emerged, and that was Hamas. So, Hamas started administrating this area, and the conflict continued for years. Until today, in 2023, we could see this conflict-like situation. We till now know that there is a long history behind the whole conflict. But the conflict which has emerged today has its stakes for India as well as the whole world. So, what is at stake for India that we need to understand? Just the next day after this conflict, our Prime Minister Narendra Modi have tweeted and given its support to the Israel's government. Here we need to understand India's relationship with both these countries, Palestine and Israel. Since the early times, since 1945, after India got its independence, India has a very soft corner for Palestine. India is the first country who have recognized Palestine's position in United Nations and recognized it as a separate country. Since then, India has also recognized Jerusalem as the capital of Palestine, and in New Delhi, we also have an embassy of Palestine. Now, when it comes to Israel, India has a very good strategic relationship. India have a very good strategic relationship. We share very good bilateral trade relationships in a lot of different sectors, as well as a lot number of MNCs and people are settled in both these countries. So, Prime Minister expressed his sorrow and gave his support to Israel because he said that this attack was a terrorist attack, and in every sense India is against a terrorist attack. So, he said that India would always stand with support with the Israel's government. The second one is Israel and India have a very good trading relationship. India comes second in the trading relationship in Asia and ninth globally. And the whole trade relationship is controlled in the sectors of crude oil, diamond, fertilizers and chemicals. In the last few years, the relationship has increased many folds. We can see that in financial year 2023, the relationship is about of $10.77 million, which is about double from the financial year of 2021. We'll see. So, if the war escalates between these two states, then the whole trading relationship of India would be hampered. The supply of crude oil would stop, and this would lead to devastating effects on the Indian market system. When we move forward, we'll see that India takes great amount of defense supplies from Israel. It is shown in the reports that about 37% of Israel's defense export comes to India. So if this war continues, this whole defense supply chain would be disrupted and will have a bad effect on the Indian supply chain. Apart from that, India also have a good amount of diaspora in Israel. About 18,000 Indian people resides in Israel. So, to evacuate these people from the conflict-like situation, Indian government have launched Operation Ajay. Indian government have launched Operation Ajay and it has promised to evacuate all the people who wish to come back to the Indian soil. It's also important here to note that India have been very successful in operating such kind of evacuation effects. In this year, April-May, there was a conflict-like situation in Sudan and that time Indian government initiated Operation Kaveri and evacuated a good amount of Indian people from the land of Sudan. So we now know that Indian government is extremely involved in this conflict-like situation. Indian economy and trading relationship would be hampered if the conflict situation continues. Now, what is at stake for the world and the other nations involved? Whenever this kind of a situation emerges, world seems to be divided. And here is the similar situation. There are countries which are supporting Hamas and they are Iran, Qatar, Lebanon and especially the terrorist wing of Lebanon, the Hezbollah and the other Arabic nation. And there are countries which are supporting Israel. They are United States, UK, India and some more democratic countries. So these situations led to the involvement of United Nations. So whenever this kind of situation emerges, United Nations also steps in. And in this situation, United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres have given his statement and said that he recognizes the grievances of the Palestinian people, but also requests that terror attacks cannot be justified and requests the Hamas to stop these kinds of terrorist attacks. At the same time, it have also said Israel to be defensive while retaliating. When we see and look into the history of Israel, we'll see one thing, that Israel have mostly been offensive when it comes to protecting its land. And this is the situation which we see today. So United Nations have requested Israel to be bit of defensive and have also requested to do all the acts but in accordance with the United Nations Human Rights Commission. Moving forward, we will see that there are two major events that would also be affected due to this whole war-like situation in the area. The first one is that there would again rise a level of uncertainty in the Middle East geopolitical area. And this Middle East geopolitical stability is very important for the world because this provides a large amount of crude oil to the world nations. And if the stability disturbs, the global economy would also be hampered. There are two more world events that also stands in dilemma now. The first one is the normalization deal. Now, what is this normalization deal between Saudi Arabia and Israel? This normalization deal was initiated by Israel with the efforts of United States, leading to a pacifying of relationship between the member of Arab states and Israel. So there were different treaties that are signed between Egypt and Jordan, and this year a deal was to be signed between Saudi Arabia and Israel. United States have also put in its effort in this normalization deal. The Biden government have promised two things if the deal is finalized. The first one is that if the deal is been signed, United States would provide a NATO-like collective security system to Saudi Arabia. And the second thing is that it would also give a kickstart to the civil nuclear program on the Saudi land. The second important event that is again in jeopardy is this India Middle East Economic Corridor. Now, what is this IMEC? For this, we need to look into this map. India Middle East Economic Corridor was initiated in the last month in the G20 summit in New Delhi. Through this corridor, two different corridors was to be initiated. The first one is the Eastern Corridor, which would connect India to the Arabian Gulf. And the second one is the Northern Corridor that would connect the Arabian Gulf to the European land. And this was about to be a major project when it comes to the economic development of these areas. So, if the conflict-like situation continues, this whole project of IMEC now stands in peril. So, we till now that there is a historical base to this conflict. We also now know that India has its stake involved in this conflict situation. The whole world and few major events also stands in dilemma when it comes to this conflict. So, what is the way forward to it? How can this be resolved? That we need to understand. This war which we are seeing today is not new. It goes back to 1947. So, one thing is clear that agitation and war is not going to solve the situation. To smoothen the situation between these two groups, the only way out is deliberations and debate. And as we can quote the famous writer H.G. Wells, who have said that if we will not end the war, the whole war is going to end us. With this, I would like to end the topic.